Ever watched a chainsaw slice through a 2-foot oak like warm butter and wondered which machine truly earns that respect? For over 60 years, one orange and black brand has quietly outlasted, outstarted, and outworked saws costing twice as much. Some weigh barely 5 pounds. One swings a 36-inch bar and eats old-growth timber for breakfast. From a 1971 classic to a battery-powered game-changer, these are the 10 greatest Echo chainsaws ever built, ranked by legacy, power, and grit. Let's start cutting. Number 10. Echo CS310. We're kicking off the countdown with the saw that has put an Echo in more first-time buyers' hands than almost any other, the CS310. Here's why it matters. Great brands aren't just built on flagship monsters that loggers drool over. They're built on the gateway saw, the one that convinces a homeowner that cheap and reliable don't have to be opposites. That's exactly the job the CS310 does, and it does it beautifully. Under the hood sits a 30.5cc two-stroke engine. That's small, sure, but Echo tuned it to punch above its class. The whole saw tips the scale at just 8.8 pounds dry, which means your average weekend warrior can swing it all afternoon without their forearms turning to jelly. Pair it with a 14 or 16-inch bar, and you've got a machine that handles limbing, pruning, small firewood, and storm cleanup without complaint. The real star feature, though, is Echo's i30 starting system. It reduces the effort needed to pull the starter cord by roughly 30%. If you've ever fought with a stubborn saw on a cold morning, yanking the rope until your shoulder screams, you understand why that number matters. The CS310 fires up easy, every time. And then there's the warranty. Echo backs this little saw with a 5-year consumer warranty, which is genuinely wild for an entry-level product at its price point. Most budget saws in this class give you 90 days and a prayer. Echo says, 5 years, go cut something. Is it a professional saw? No, and it never pretended to be. But as the machine that introduced a generation of property owners to what a real Echo feels like in the hand, the CS310 earns its spot on this list. It's the on-ramp to the whole orange family, and it's a fantastic one. Number 9. Echo CS4910. Step up a serious notch in power, and you land on the CS4910, Echo's farm and ranch workhorse in the 50cc class. This one replaced the well-loved CS490, and it didn't just tweak the formula, it rewrote it. According to Echo, the CS4910 makes about 22% more power than the saw it replaced. That's not a rounding error. That's a genuine feel-it-in-the-cut improvement that turns a good mid-range saw into a great one. The engine is a 50.2cc two-stroke commercial-grade power plant, and Echo wrapped it around a magnesium crankcase. If you don't know why that matters, here's the short version. Magnesium is lighter than aluminum but seriously tough, which is exactly what you want in a saw that's going to get bounced around a truck bed, dropped in the dirt, and run hard for years. That construction helps the CS4910 hit a dry weight of just 10.4 pounds, which Echo marketed as the lightest 50cc chainsaw on the market when it launched. Run it with the 20-inch bar and this saw will chew through logs up to about 35 inches in diameter by cutting from both sides. That's a wide range of capability from a saw a rancher can carry one-handed to the next downed fence line. It comes in 16, 18, and 20-inch bar lengths, so you can spec it for whatever your property throws at you. Practical touches round it out: a decompression valve to make starting easier on that bigger cylinder, an adjustable automatic oiler so you're not drowning your chain or starving it, and a G-force engine air pre-cleaner that spins debris out before it ever reaches the filter, which means less downtime and longer filter life. Tree felling, limbing, firewood, storm cleanup, brush thinning, fence post cutting. This is the saw for the person whose yard is measured in acres, not square feet. It's the sweet spot between homeowner convenience and pro-grade guts. Number 8. Echo CS400. Some saws sell in the millions and become the quiet backbone of an entire brand. For Echo, that saw is the CS400. For years, this was one of the most popular chainsaws Echo ever put on a shelf, and there's no mystery why. It hits the exact center of what most people actually need: enough power to be useful, light enough to be pleasant, and priced where a regular person can say yes without wincing. The heart of it is a 40.2cc engine that Echo called its Power Boost Vortex design. It's a professional-grade two-stroke that delivers strong, consistent torque for a saw of its size. Dry weight comes in at 10.1 pounds, and you can run it with a 16 or 18-inch bar. letting it clean up storm damage on trees up to around 20 inches without breaking a sweat. Like the smaller CS310, the CS400 uses the i30 starting system that cuts pull cord effort by about 30%, plus a digital computerized ignition that automatically manages engine timing so the saw runs clean and starts predictably. Echo also gave it a heavy-duty automotive-style air filter that's easy to access and easy to clean, the G-Force pre-cleaner to keep grit out, and an automatic adjustable oiler that matches whatever cutting conditions you're facing. Add an inertia-activated chain brake for safety, a rubber-molded handle, and Echo's anti-vibration system, and you get a saw that stays comfortable through a long day of bucking firewood. Now here's the honest part. The CS400 has largely been retired and succeeded by newer models in Echo's lineup, and you'll hear dealers say it's no longer available new. But that's exactly what earns it a place on a greatest ever made list. This is the saw that spent a decade being the default recommendation at the dealer counter, the machine that thousands of families still have running in the garage today. Legends don't have to still be in production, they just have to have mattered. Number 7. Echo CS501P. Now we cross into Echo's premium territory, the X Series, and the saw that put that badge on the map is the CS501P. The X Series is Echo's line for people who cut for a living, or cut like they do, and the design brief was simple but brutal. Pro-grade power, minimum weight, the CS501P nails it. Its 50.2 cc professional-grade engine produces around 20% more power than the CS490 it succeeded, and Echo built it down to a dry weight of just 10.6 pounds, marketing it as the lightest 50cc chainsaw in North America. Think about what that combination means in the real world. A 50cc saw has enough grunt to fell mid-sized trees, buck hardwood, and handle logging and heavy clearing. But traditionally, that power came with weight that wore you out by mid-afternoon. The CS501P hands you the power without the fatigue. Reviewers who ran it through downed oak described the 20-inch Pro Light bar and aggressive chain simply melting through hardwood. The pro details are everywhere once you look. There's a decompression valve and digital ignition for easy starting. There's an ergonomic aluminum front handle with a rubber grip, tougher and more comfortable than plastic under hard use. There are captive bar nuts, so you physically cannot lose those fasteners in the leaves when you're changing a bar in the field. The G-Force pre-cleaner extends filter life, and a top-mounted toolless air filter cover means you service it in seconds without hunting for a wrench. You can spec it in 16, 18 or 20-inch bars, and like the rest of Echo's consumer-registered saws, it carries that confidence-inspiring 5-year consumer warranty. The CS501P is the saw for the landowner who's tired of compromising, the arborist who wants a ground saw that won't quit, the person who's ready to graduate from good enough to genuinely professional. It's light, it's mean, and it feels expensive in the best way. Number 6. Echo E-Force DCS5000. Time to unplug, literally. Number 6 is the saw that dragged Echo's reputation for toughness into the battery age, the E-Force DCS5000. For a long time, battery chainsaws were a punchline to serious cutters. Weak, short-lived, toy-like. The DCS5000 is Echo's answer, and it's a genuinely convincing one. It runs on Echo's E-Force 56-volt battery system driving a brushless motor, and Echo built it to deliver what they describe as gas-like power and performance. That's a bold claim from a company that has sold two-stroke saws for over half a century, and this saw largely backs it up. The headline number is cuts per charge. With its 5.0 amp-hour battery, the DCS5000 is rated for up to 200 cuts on a single charge. That's a real workday's worth of storm cleanup, small to medium felling, and firewood, with zero fuel mixing, zero cord pulling, and near-instant starts every single time you squeeze the trigger. It swings an 18-inch bar, which is a serious size for a cordless saw, and the whole package weighs about 14.6 pounds with the battery installed. What impressed reviewers most, though, was the refinement. This wasn't a homeowner gadget with a chain bolted on. It has a replaceable metal chain catch, steel bar studs, a metal bumper spike for leverage, onboard tool storage, a side access chain tensioner, a translucent oil tank, and a flip lever oil cap. Testers said flat out that it was obviously designed by people who actually use chainsaws. Echo also stands behind it hard, with a 5-year consumer warranty on the tool and a 2-year battery warranty. and it slots into the wider E-Force 56-volt family, so one battery platform powers your blower, trimmer, and more. Is it going to replace an 80cc logging saw? No, and it's not trying to. But for the pro who needs a quiet, emissions-free saw for noise-sensitive job sites, or the homeowner who wants to grab a saw and just go, the DCS 5000 is a landmark. It's the moment Echo proved battery could be pro. Number 5. Echo CS2 511T. Now for something almost unbelievable. Number 5 weighs about the same as a full water jug, and it changed what arborists thought was possible. The CS2 511T. This is a top-handle saw, the kind climbers use one-handed, up in the canopy, clipped to a harness, working in 3 dimensions where every ounce is felt in your shoulders and wrists. And here's the number that made jaws drop. The CS2 511T has a dry weight of just 5.2 pounds. Echo markets it as the lightest gas-powered chainsaw in North America, and it's easy to see why arborists lost their minds over it. 5 pounds from a gas saw. With a real 25cc, professional-grade 2-stroke engine that produces around 1.49 horsepower. That is a genuinely remarkable feat of engineering, packing that much combustion into something that small and that light. But the magic isn't just the weight, it's that Echo didn't cheap out to get there. You get a clutch-driven adjustable oiler that only runs when the chain is moving, so you're not wasting bar oil. You get a dual-post chain brake built for durability. There's a choke with automatic fast idle for genuinely easy starts up in a tree, plus a spring assist starting system. A fine grid starter cover keeps wood chips and fibers from getting ingested, and the G-Force pre-cleaner extends filter life. There's even a lanyard ring on the rear of the top handle so you can clip it straight to your climbing harness, and toolless fuel and oil caps you can open with the starter handle, so you don't have to carry extra tools up the trunk. It runs a 12 or 14-inch bar, uses a standard 0.050 gauge chain that's easy to source, and it's earned a cult following. Even die-hard users of other brands have publicly admitted this little Echo far exceeded their expectations and runs like a much bigger saw. For professional arborists who spend their days aloft, shaving weight off the saw is shaving fatigue off the whole workday. The CS2 511T did exactly that, and it did it without giving up an ounce of Echo toughness. Number 4. Echo CS620P. We're into the top 4 now, where the saws stop being merely good and start being legendary. Number 4 is the commercial-grade brute of the 60cc class, the CS620P. On paper, it shares a displacement with the more famous Timberwolf, 59.8cc, but do not let that fool you. The CS620P is the professional's version, tuned and built for people who abuse their saws for a living. Echo estimates it makes roughly 15% more power than the CS590, and it channels that extra grunt into serious torque, the kind that refuses to bog down when you bury the bar in dense hardwood like oak or maple. Where the CS620P really separates itself is construction. This is a full-on commercial-grade saw. It's got a magnesium crankcase and a magnesium clutch cover for durability that shrugs off years of hard use. It runs a 2-ring piston versus the single-ring setup on the cheaper 590, which helps it hold compression and performance over the long haul. It's got dual dogs, those aggressive twin bucking spikes that bite into a log and give you a pivot point for controlled, powerful cuts. There's a pressurized airbox and G-Force pre-cleaning for filtration, a decompression valve for easier starts, captive bar nuts so you never lose them, a rim sprocket, and a solid bar. Powerhead dry weight lands around 13.7 pounds, and you can run it with bars from 16 all the way up to 27 inches, giving it the reach to tackle genuinely big timber. And Echo backs it with a 5-year consumer warranty, which is remarkable for a saw this clearly aimed at commercial buyers. Dealers who sell every major brand consistently push customers toward the CS620P over the Husqvarna 455 and 460 Rancher. And it's not brand loyalty, it's value. You get commercial construction, commercial power, and a class-leading warranty at a price that makes the competition sweat. If the Timberwolf is the people's champion, the CS620P is the pro's quiet weapon. It's the saw for someone who'll run it hard, 5 days a week, and expect it to still be running next decade. Number 3. Echo CS800P. Now we get to the monster. The biggest, meanest, most powerful chainsaw Echo has ever put its name on. The CS800P. This is the top of the mountain for Echo's gas lineup, and the specs read like a challenge. The CS800P is built around an 80.7cc professional-grade two-stroke engine that's 4.92 cubic inches of raw displacement. Echo, as a rule, doesn't officially publish horsepower figures, but dealer and reviewer estimates put this beast in the neighborhood of 6.3 horsepower, making it, without question, the most powerful chainsaw Echo sells. And it swings the biggest bars in the family. You can run the CS800P with 24, 27, 32, or a full 36-inch bar. Let that sink in. A 3-foot bar. This is a felling and bucking saw for genuinely large, old, thick timber, the kind of trees that make smaller saws look silly. This is a professional logger's tool. It's built like one, too. Dry weight is 16.8 pounds, heavier than the homeowner saws for obvious reasons. This is a saw meant to be muscled through massive trunks. It uses an aluminum handle with rubber over mold for comfort during long punishing sessions, a steel sprocket cover, a rim sprocket, and Echo's power match bar paired with the performance cutting system, an upgraded bar and aggressive chain designed to maximize how fast it eats wood. The oiler is automatic and adjustable with a manual override, so you can flood the bar with extra oil on the biggest cuts. There's a toolless air filter cover for quick field service, and it holds a hefty 13.5 fluid ounces of bar oil and around 27.7 fluid ounces of fuel to keep it fed through big jobs. The CS800P is the modern evolution of Echo's legendary big bore lineage, the successor to the old CS8000, refined with better ergonomics and performance. It typically sells somewhere in the $800 to $1,000 range depending on bar length, which undercuts comparable flagship saws from Steel and Husqvarna, while delivering that same class of raw power. This is the saw for the person who says, "Give me the biggest one you've got." It's Echo flexing, and it's glorious. Number 2. Echo CS302. For number 2, we go all the way back to where the orange legend truly began, the CS302. To understand why this saw matters, you have to know the story. Echo's parent company was founded in Japan in 1947 by the Asamoto brothers, operating as the Kyoritsu Noki Company. They started with agricultural machinery, crop dusters, mist blowers, pest control equipment. Their very first chainsaw, the CS80, arrived in 1963, and it was actually the first tool to wear the Echo name. But the saw that set the template for everything that followed came in 1971. That was the year the company renamed itself the Kyoritsu Corporation, and that same year it launched the CS302, its first ever professional-grade chainsaw. More than that, the CS302 was the very first Echo saw to wear that now iconic bright orange casing, the color that would become the brand's signature for the next 5 decades and counting. The Echo brand name would formally take over the company's trading identity by 1978, but the visual DNA, the look you picture the instant someone says Echo, was born right here on the CS302. So why does a saw from 1971 rank second on this list, ahead of far more powerful modern machines? Because greatness isn't only about specs, it's about influence. Every single Echo saw we've talked about today, the featherweight CS2511T, the monstrous CS800P, the battery-powered DCS5000, they all trace their lineage, their orange skin, and their professional ambitions back to this one machine. The CS302 was the saw that announced Kyoritsu was serious about competing with the big names in the timber world. It was the first statement of intent. There's a reason vintage Echo collectors and chainsaw historians still talk about the early 300 series saws with such reverence. They were the foundation. Without the CS302 proving that this Japanese agricultural equipment maker could build a real professional saw and give it an identity you'd recognize across a lumberyard, there is no Timberwolf, no X-Series, no E-Force. Number 1. Echo CS590 Timberwolf. And here it is, the number 1 greatest Echo chainsaw ever made. The saw that more than any other is universally loved by homeowners, farmers, ranchers, and working pros alike. Ladies and gentlemen, the CS590 Timberwolf. Let's talk about why this saw is a phenomenon. The Timberwolf runs a 59.8cc professional-grade two-stroke engine putting out roughly 4 horsepower, wrapped in a package with a dry weight of about 13.2 pounds. Those are strong numbers. But here's the genius of it. Echo gave the CS590 a longer stroke than most saws in its displacement class. That means it trades a little peak horsepower for a whole lot of low-end torque, and torque is what actually pulls a chain through a big log. Users regularly run this saw with 25 and even 28-inch bars loaded with full comp chisel chain, and it just keeps chewing. Now stack up the features, because this is where the value becomes almost absurd. You get a digital ignition system, a decompression valve for easy starting on that big engine, an easy access heavy-duty 2-piece air filter, the G-Force engine air pre-cleaner for extended filter life, a spring anti-vibration system to save your hands over long days, a side access chain tensioner, a clutch-driven automatic oiler that only feeds oil when the chain moves, a dual-post chain brake, and a translucent fuel tank so you can eyeball your gas at a glance. It comes in 18, 20, and 24-inch bar options to match whatever you're cutting. Then comes the knockout punch, the price and the warranty. The Timberwolf has long been famous for delivering all of this at a price that routinely undercuts comparable farm and ranch saws from Stihl and Husqvarna, and Echo backs it with a 5-year consumer warranty. A pro-grade torque monster firewood saw for the money with a 5-year warranty. That's the whole ballgame. The result is one of the most beloved chainsaws in the entire outdoor power world. Scroll through any forum, any Facebook group, any owner community, and the CS590 is showered with praise. Loggers use them daily for limbing. Ranchers heat their homes with wood the Timberwolf cut. First-time firewood cutters buy one and never look back. It has, quite simply, one of the best reputations of any saw at any price. The CS590 Timberwolf isn't the most powerful Echo, the lightest Echo, or the most historic Echo. It's something better. It's the one that gives ordinary people professional capability without asking them to be rich. It's the saw that made buy an Echo the smartest advice at the dealer counter, and that is exactly why it's number one. If this video helped you, do me one favor. Hit that like button, subscribe for more chainsaw deep dives, and ring the bell so you never miss one. Until next time, keep your chain sharp and your cuts straight. Take care.